Good morning, Stampers. Happy Wednesday. Welcome to this week's bonus Facebook Live. All month long, during the month of February, I have been doing a second Facebook Live every week on Wednesday morning. So this is the last one for this month. But I will still continue to do my Friday Lives at 11 a.m. Mountain Time. My name is Sherry Roth. I'm a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator from Alberta, Canada. You can find me at stampedtreasures.com and many other places online. I've got all of the links in the description. Today we are going to be playing with the Grassy Grove bundle, which I think is a bundle that is kind of overlooked in the January to June 2022 mini catalog. But before we get started, I want to chat with you about a couple things. Okay, I'm just updating my iPad here. Okay. All right, first of all, last week I shared these two cards that were created using the butterflies and flowers layering decorative stencils, I think that, or masks. If you missed the video, you can check my YouTube channel or even scroll back on my Stamped Treasures Facebook page, and you can find that video. I have not yet drawn the winners for these two cards, so if you are quick about it and you go take a look at the video and comment on it, you may still have a chance to win one of these two cards. So I will announce the winners by the end of the day today. And how you get entered is basically just participate in the conversation, whether it's live or on the replay. If you participate in the conversation by commenting or sharing the video, your name gets entered in to win the projects that I create. All right. Good morning, Lori. Good morning, Shauna. Good morning, Darlene. Welcome. Happy Wednesday. Okay, and then the next thing that I want to talk about, I'm going to slide this out of the way for a minute, because yesterday I got a big box of stuff, and well, a big box of these. These are the new Celebrate Today magnet board kits. And I know you can't see the whole box, but the box itself is fabulous. It's like a big craft pizza box. It's about maybe 1.5 inches thick, and I just love it. Like, I can see keeping a whole bunch of these boxes to use them to store papers and kits, and oh my gosh. So anyways, I have not yet opened it. I wanted to open it and share what is inside with you guys. Okay, let me just figure out how to open it without ruining the box here. Okay. All right. Now, if you are not familiar with this kit is called Celebrate Today Magnet Board Kit. It is a new kit that is available, and it's a magnet board. It's a framed magnet board that it comes with everything that you need inside, but then of course you can do it as is, but you can also use products that you have on hand to customize it as well, which is so fun. So I think it would be great for so many different uses. We are actually doing this with my daughter and her bridesmaids. We're going to do this because her bridesmaids, some of them went to school together, but one of them is one of her nursing friends. And so it's just kind of a get to know each other kind of activity. So we're going to do it all together. And one of them lives in BC, so we're going to Zoom her in so that she can participate virtually. So I think it'll be fun. All right, so here is the frame. I'm not going to actually take it out of the plastic. So we've got the frame. It looks like it's probably 12 by 12. And then I apologize for the noise. Opening plastic on camera is usually really, really noisy. Let's see what all we've got in here. Okay. And imagine if we flip this over. Okay. Let's see. All right, so of course we've got instructions. So it's got photos of all the contents of the kit. It's got photos of how to assemble. So it's very similar to a paper pumpkin kit if you're familiar with paper pumpkin. This looks like a t-shirt. Doesn't that look like a t-shirt? Huh. Okay. So these are meant to be folded and used as pockets. What I plan on doing before I create my kit is I plan on tracing this on a scrap piece of paper so that when I get tired of this particular pattern, I can use this as a template and create more pockets. And now just looking at this, I'm thinking it looks exactly like a t-shirt. So it could be cute on a scrapbook page as well. Oh my gosh. Anyway, so they're double-sided, so you can pick and choose the pattern that you would like. And of course, they've got the score lines and everything on here. We've got 2 pieces of 12 by 12 paper. So this beautiful pink ombre, and then a gray pattern. And then we've got this 2-toned, it looks like mint macaron, could be just jade, and then a black and white polka dot. So you can pick and choose the pattern that you would like. We've got some tear and tape, which is probably how you assemble everything. I would imagine these are the magnets. Yeah, so we've got magnets. And then in here, let's see what is in here. Okay, we've got these look about 3 by 4 cards. So you could use any of these that you have left. You could definitely use them for memory keeping. So we've got, I'll show you both sides. It looks like there's 2 of each. So we've got that. We've got that. We've got a pink calendar. We've got some lines. We've got this one, that one. I love this. So these would be great for memory keeping as well. I love that they're pretty generic. Like they don't have, you can use them for lots of different things. And I love the colors. Lots of these are great for journaling cards. All right, so we've got those. Okay, and okay, it looks like this is German. We've got English. Happiness is in the journey. Grateful. Love is life. Celebrate today. Today I'm celebrating. Remember this. Love this. You've got this. Dream. Today is a new day. And then a bunch of little words here. Oh, maybe that isn't German. That could be Dutch, maybe. That's German. We've got French. And then we've got, and so these are all die cut, these are all stickers. And then we've got some images and some shapes. So fun. You almost need like an extra one. Like these, I could see doing several scrapbook pages with these. Huh. Got my head is spinning now. My goodness. Okay, so lots of great things. And I wouldn't discount these like if you don't speak Dutch or you don't need German or anything like that, don't discount these shapes because you could fill something in. You could use the outline and you could fill something in over top with a banner. You could have something like this kind of peeking up, just that little bit of gray. You could do a different word, a narrow word over top and kind of have the gray peeking out at the top and the bottom. So don't discount these ones that are a different language. If you've got somebody who speaks in one of these languages, then of course you could gift it to them, but these are still good. You could still put these to use. All right, so that is what the kit looks like. It's always nice to see a closer look because pictures oftentimes don't do it justice. If you would like to purchase one of these, we are getting together on Zoom on March 10th at 6:30 to create this kit together. If you'd like to join us, all you need to do is just head to my online store, purchase this kit, and I will send you an invitation. You're more than welcome to join us. It's going to be fun. We'll craft our kits together, and it'll be fun to see if everybody uses the contents from the kit only or switches it up and uses some different things. So, and seriously, I want these boxes. Boy, I wish Stampin' Up! Sold these boxes just like this. It'd be great for class kits. Okay, all right, so I wanted to share that. Let's pop this on the floor, get it out of the way. Okay, now on to crafting. Like I said at the beginning of the video, we are going to use the Grassy Grove stamp set. This is from the January to June 2022 catalog. And I think it's one that is overlooked until you see it in use. And it combines beautifully with the New Horizons DSP. So this fabulous DSP, you saw me use it a few weeks ago for the On the Horizon Facebook Live that I did. You saw me use this paper. It's a 6x6 paper pack, watercolored kind of imagery, and then on the back it's got kind of watercolored patterns. So it's such a beautiful paper, and it works amazingly well with this bundle, as you'll see today. Okay, so that's a peek at the paper and the bundle. I'm going to set this aside. We are going to need the dies, so I'll keep those handy. Set that behind here, try to clear my space here. All right, so the first thing I'm going to do is I am going to share the pieces. So in case you want to recreate, you'll also be able to find these a little bit later today. You'll be able to find all these measurements on my blog at stamptreasures.com in today's blog post, which we are, what is the date today? The 23rd, February 23rd. Okay, so you'll be able to go back and check those measurements if you don't feel like jotting them down now. Okay, so I've got a thick white card base, 5.5 by 8.5, scored at 4 1/4. And then I've got a piece of that beautiful New Horizons DSP. It measures 3 by 6. We will end up trimming it down to 5.5 inches, but I just cut it in half just for the sake of this video. And then you'll need a couple scrap pieces of white cardstock to do some stamping. You'll need 2 pieces of evening evergreen cardstock that measure, I mean, they could be any measurement. We're just going to have a smidge showing. So these ones I think are about 1/4 inch, maybe a little bit wider than 1/4 inch, and you need them at least 5.5 inches long. I've got a piece of the evening evergreen, I can't remember the name of this ribbon, something weave, chevron weave, I think, or chevron something ribbon. We're going to use a little piece of that, and then I've got a little scrap of vellum. Okay, so those are all the pieces that we're going to use. We're going to start with our stamping. So I'm going to use this larger piece of white first, and I'm going to bring in this deer image and some soft suede ink. And I'm just going to ink this deer up. Make sure he's really nicely inked. I think my suede needs to be re-inked. And I'm going to stamp that down on here. I'm going to bring in my envelope. I'll stamp him on the envelope as well. And I'll do it in kind of the lower left-hand corner. Okay, and we are done with the deer. For now, we're going to use him on the next card as well. Okay, and then I'm going to bring in some evening evergreen ink and this little trio of trees. Move the envelope out of the way. We'll bring in our scrap, ink this up nicely, and stamp it down on our scrap of white. Okay, and then we are done with evening evergreen. Okay, and then what I'm going to do, actually let's do one more thing of stamping before we bring in our card base. I'm going to take the thank you and I'm going to ink it up with Memento, and I'm going to stamp it towards the top of this scrap. And you'll see what I do with that in a minute. We're done with that. Okay, now we're going to bring in our card base. Excuse me. I'm going to fold, actually I probably don't need to fold it in half just yet. I'm going to position my, it's hard because this is all white here. Okay, I'm going to position this so that my DSP is in the middle of my card front, but I'm not going to stick it down just yet. Okay, so I've got it lined up with the bottom because this is 3 by 6 inches. I want to cut off the top because we've got some pretty colors at the bottom, but then this top is kind of plain. It's kind of gray, so I'd rather lose some of the top of the DSP rather than the bottom of the DSP. So I've got it lined up right up the bottom and it's about in the center. And I'm going to take this grass image, which I love this grass image. Love, love, love it. And we're going to take some Old Olive. We're going to ink this up. And stamp it. I'm just going to pull in another scrap piece of paper here and just slide this underneath here. Just because I might go off the edge and I don't want to stamp on my pretty scrap paper. Okay. And I'm going to put it down so that I know I'm going off of the bottom of the card. And then I'm just going to make sure I apply half decent amount of pressure. Okay. And don't worry, you'll see here, because there is a little bit of a lip, you'll see that right there it didn't stamp, but that's okay. We will fix that in a moment. Okay, and then I'm going to turn this over so that I can stamp this grassy image on the inside of my card. I always like to figure out what I'm going to stamp on the inside while I have my stamps out, and do it at the same time while my ink pads are out. Just seems pretty efficient doing it that way. All right, so we've got a little bit of color on the inside of our card now. Okay, now I believe we have everything that we need to go ahead and start assembling. So we're just going to fold our card in half. Okay, and then before we stick this piece on, we're going to attach these two pieces to the back of this. So I'm going to use some seal adhesive. And my pieces are a little long. Just going to take this and line it up with this straight edge at the top so that I have just about a 1/16 of an inch. It might be a little bit more than a 1/16 of an inch showing. I just want a tiny little bit of that. And then we'll trim off the excess, and then we'll repeat that on the other side. So this little strip is going to cover that little bit here that didn't get stamped because our DSP was just a little bit higher than our card base. Okay, so we've got that. And this is really going to make the DSP pop off of that white background. Okay, so now we can add a little bit more adhesive to the back of this and align it up, going down the center of our card front. I think that looks pretty straight, and then we can trim off the excess. More adhesive on here. Okay, let's just lift this up, add a little bit of adhesive. All right, okay, so there we go. I mean, it's beautiful just like this. You could seriously leave it like this. The DSP just, it's stunning. You really don't need to do a lot to the DSP. We could just leave the card like this. You could stamp a sentiment on it and be done. But we're gonna step it up just a little bit. So these two images that we've got here, there are dies that coordinate with them. So this die will cut this out, and this deer die will cut this guy out. I've gone ahead and I've done that. Okay, we are going to use the dies a little bit later, but I figure this is just a little bit of a time saver. So I'm gonna kind of, where the horizon is, where the the green bit is. I'm going to add that there, and I'm going to pop it up using some dimensionals. So does anybody have this bundle? The Grassy Grove bundle. I think it's one that, like I said at the beginning of the video, I think it's one that people will just overlook. But wait until you see the second card that we're making today. I cannot wait to show you this one. I mean, this one is pretty, but the second one I think is just amazing. I absolutely love it. Okay, and then we're going to add our deer to the bottom. So he's standing in the grass, kind of right here. And you'll notice that I strategically place my pieces. So here I covered over that little bit of a green seam, and with this tree I covered over the green seam so that it doesn't appear to be so busy. All right, so we've got that so far. Now with our greeting, we are going to take a 1.5 inch circle punch. Now we don't carry circle punches anymore at the moment. However, you can use our layering circles dies just for the sake of convenience. It's easier for me to use a punch. Okay, so I wanted that straight edge because we're going to pop this up here. So I wanted that straight edge so that I could line it up at the top. So that's why I stamped the greeting kind of higher to the top of my scrap piece of paper. Okay, so now I've got that nice straight edge. I've got my little scrap of evening evergreen ribbon. We're going to take this and add just a little bit of adhesive, fold the ribbon in half, and then pop that on there. And then from this little piece of vellum, I'm going to die cut one of these leaves, and I've done that. It's right here. So I've got that little vellum leaf, and this is just a simple way to add a little bit of texture and layers to your projects. Okay, so I've got some leftover paper pumpkin mini glue dots. I'm just going to take one of those and add that right on here, and then add my leaf. And I'm just going to use my fingers and just kind of curl that up just a little bit. And then this guy's going to go on with dimensionals, but there is a lot of bulk in the center. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take a couple little strips kind of around the edges and add them to the outsides so that hopefully over the center it will sit kind of even because the bulk from the center. So I'll flip this around and line this up right with the top of my card. Oh, and our leaf is, could probably put my leaf a little bit lower. Let's fix that. Move it down a little bit. We want to be able to see that leaf. There we go. And then the last step is to take some of those fun little pebble enamel shapes, which unfortunately are not available right now. They are on back order, and Stampin' Up! Doesn't do back orders at the moment, so they turn off the number when they don't have stock until it comes back into stock. So right now these cannot be ordered, but they are due in, oh, I meant to look. I did look at the back order list before I went live, but I cannot remember the date of this. I think it's sometime in March. So I'm going to put a little pebble right here. I'm going to use one brown one and one gray one. And there we go. There's our card. So you can see how that DSP just works beautifully with it. I mean, if you look at some of the other images, you can see that you could stamp those trees kind of in the background here. Like there's just so much potential with this DSP and this particular stamp set. All right, so there is card number one. We've got our matching envelope, and then we've got that little bit of grass stamped on the inside. Okay, now for card number two, we're gonna make a Christmas card. I know. We are nowhere near Christmas, but I wanted to show you that this doesn't need to be just, you know, this time of the year card. You can use it for the holidays as well. So, and then I'll share a couple other examples with you towards the end here. Okay, let me pull out my pieces. All right, so I've got this particular pattern. So this is the back. I'm going to use this side for this particular card. And then let me go through my pieces. I have, our card base is going to be Night of Navy, standard size card base, 5.5 by 8.5, scored at 4 1/4. And then I've got two pieces that measure 4 by 5 1/4. One's going to be for the inside and one's going to be for the outside. I've got a scrap piece of white, and then I've got a 6 by 6 piece of DSP. We're going to trim this down. We're going to start with that. Grab my paper trimmer. Has it been on your wish list? Well, hopefully, yeah, hopefully you are inspired after this. Wait till you see this second card, and then when I share a couple others as well. Okay, let me just check my measurements here. 3 7/8 by 5 1/8. So I'm going to cut my 3 7/8 first. So I always like to cut my shorter measurement first, because then I end up with a nice big piece to use on another project. And then I'm going to rotate it and cut it at 5 1/8. Okay, and I'm going to save this. We're going to use that on the inside. We're going to use this on the outside, and then this will go in my scrap bin. Okay, so set that aside. Okay, now what we're going to do is let's do our stamping. No, let's do our die cutting first. Okay, so I need to move my chair out of the way so that I can stand for this next bit. All right, I'm going to bring over my Stamp and Cut and Emboss machine, and we are going to use this nice, big, beautiful background kind of die. And this cuts the most amazing background. So I'm going to use one of my white pieces, and I'm going to position it. Let me get this in camera so I can make sure you guys can see. I'm going to position it so that it's centered side to side, but a little bit closer to the top. Okay, so I want to make sure that this is straight so that I've got an even strip down here at the bottom, but I want it to be centered side to side. Okay, so it's going to look like that. All right, and we'll feed that through. Okay, let's move this out of the way. I'll peel this up. All right, so now I'm just going to poke out these odd pieces here, these few little pieces. So you can see that that creates a really beautiful background. And simply by putting this behind, I mean, look how amazing that is. And just think, I mean, if we pull back this DSP, I mean, you can use this on the background of so many of these. Any one of these patterned papers would look fabulous in the background of this, right? So can you see how it just works so well with this DSP? Okay, all right, so we've got that. Now, scrap. Okay, so we're gonna do some stamping. You're welcome, Shauna. Isn't it beautiful? I tell you, this DSP is incredible, and there's actually quite a few different sets throughout both the annual catalog and the mini catalog that work amazingly well with this DSP. Okay, so we're going to take our deer, we're going to stamp it using some soft suede ink, just like we did on the first card. Okay, And then we're going to bring in some Night of Navy ink. And we're going to bring in a different stamp set because remember I said we're making a Christmas card. I know, it's only February, but I really wanted to show you guys just how versatile this set is. So I was looking for a greeting that would kind of work down towards the bottom here. So I pulled out my poinsettia petals. And I'm going to use the Warm Wishes from Our Home to Yours and also the May Magic and Wonder Bloom this holiday. Okay, so I'm going to use both of those. One will go on the outside, one will go on the inside. So I'm going to rotate this piece around and I'm going to take the Warm Wishes one and my Night of Navy ink. Make sure that that's nicely inked up, and we're going to stamp it closer to the bottom edge. I need some contrast here. All right, so we're going to stamp that on there. We'll trim that down. Now for the inside layer, while I've got my ink out, I'm going to take this and we're going to add this to the side here, and I'm going to ink up the inside greeting and stamp it down in the center of the leftover white space. So these two cards that I'm creating today are my gift for this last little bit of February. You can have a choice of either the pre-cut pieces for these two cards and a quarter of a package of this fabulous DSP, or you can choose the iridescent rhinestones as your gift for any $60 purchase between now and the end of the month. So I'm just going to take that piece and add that on there, and there's the inside. Now let's bring, before we start assembling, we're going to bring in the paper trimmer so we can trim this little piece off. So about there, I think. I don't want to cut off the top of my H here. Let's move it over just a little bit. Okay, there we go. I just replaced the blade on my paper trimmer, so it cuts so beautifully now. All right, so we've got all of our pieces here. Now it's time to assemble. I did go ahead and die cut my deer, so I've got him all cut out. And I've also taken some of this blue, white, and silver twine, because you didn't think I was going to make a card without twine today, did you? So this is Misty Moonlight White and Silver, and it is from the Flowers for Every Season, I think it's called, ribbon trim combo pack from the annual catalog. You get 3 different types of twine or ribbon in the package, and this is one of them. Okay, so we're going to fold this in half. And let's go ahead and stick this on the inside. All right. I've started doing this a lot, especially when you cut into 6x6 DSP. If you've got little strips left, I love just adding that little strip of pattern on the inside. And then it saves on collecting so many scraps as well. Okay, and then what we're going to do is we are going to add dimensionals to the back of this guy. And I'm going to be quite generous with my dimensionals. Let's do some of these side bits around the edges. I've got mini dimensionals here, but you can use regular dimensionals as well. So I'm going to add them around the edges, but then also kind of mixed in on some of these branches as well. So I'm using these longer pieces for around the edges. Oh, we don't need that guy just yet. Okay, and then we'll take some of these smaller ones, and where there's like a little larger piece of white, I'm just going to add a couple or a few dimensionals right there. Okay, and you could add some to the branches if you, or the trunks if you wanted, but that should be good. Just peel off the backing. All right. I know this die cut is amazing, isn't it? Okay, so now I'm going to take this piece and I'm going to flip it over upside down. It pains me to cover this side up, but for this particular project, I just want the blue. That's why you need a couple packages of this particular DSP, because there's, I mean, both sides are fabulous. All right. So now we've got that bit done. We can go ahead and adhere this to our card base. I'm going to just use a little bit of multi-purpose glue. And add that to the inside. So we'll have about 1/8 of an inch all the way around. Okay, let's make sure that that's straight. Looks good. Okay, we can add our deer. Again, we're going to pop him up using some dimensionals. And he's going to get tucked kind of right here. Okay, and then our greeting, we're going to trim this down a little bit. And then I'm going to flag the end. And then I'm going to cut this, but leave a little bit of extra space here. I'm going to take my bone folder and kind of, I want to be careful because I don't want to smear this. It should be dry by now, but I find my navy takes a little longer to dry. So I wanted to have a little bit of a curve on there. So now I'll take a dimensional, add that to the center, and then I'm going to use a little bit of flat adhesive on either side. And then this is going to go right here. So that's why I made that a little bit higher. So when I positioned this background die, I wanted to have the space to put a greeting down at the bottom. Okay, and then we'll finish it off. Well, not quite. We have one more thing to do after this. We're going to add our little bow. So I'm just going to use a mini glue dot. Yes, it does make a great masculine birthday card. That is right. Okay, so there we've got that. Now we need to accessorize, right? We've got a little bit, like putting ribbon or twine on is like putting on a scarf. And now we need some jewelry. We need some jewelry, right? So I was looking through and I could have used rhinestones. I could have used even the iridescent rhinestones, but then I hadn't used these resin stars yet. So I thought, and they come in, I think this is navy. So I thought these would be perfect. So I'm going to use a few of these. Let's do a big one. Oh. We'll add a big one here. And then a couple small ones. And there we go. We've got another beautiful card. And Christmas. This is my first Christmas card for next year. Okay. All right. So there was the first card, or sorry, the second card. And then here's the first one. And then we've got, oh, we didn't stamp the envelope. That's okay. I can go back and stamp the envelope. All right. So we've got, you can see that you can use it for Christmas. Like Sarah said, you can use it as a masculine birthday card. It would be great for that. And remember, you can switch out that background and use pretty much any one of those patterns, patterns in that pattern paper pack. And same with this one. You could do something similar using any one of those patterns. But then I thought I'd share with you this fun card. Now, I was inspired by something that I saw on another demonstrator did it. So I didn't come up with this fold, but I tweaked the idea a little bit to make it mine. So again, I used that DSP in the background. I used that thank you idea with the half circle, except I inked it up with my Stampin' Write markers because I didn't want the line on it like that. And then I added some twine, which is kind of funky here. But look at how this folds. So I love how you can do silhouettes. Like it just, I think it looks so stunning. But then look, it opens like this and then like this. How fun is that? I absolutely love it. And I think this background die, or whatever you want to call this, is so beautiful done in black. So stunning. And then I wanted to do something a little bit more on the simple side, really focused on the stamp. So I did just a little note card size and added this. My deers are a little crooked, but there's another little simple card idea. So I think this, like I said, it is an overlooked bundle. It is so incredibly beautiful. All right, so hopefully I brought that to your attention. So incredibly amazing. So thank you so much for joining me this morning. Just remember that celebration is nearing the end. It ends on February 28th, so the last chance to pick up some of that product for free or to join Stampin' Up. I mean, this is a great bundle to add to your starter kit if you hadn't thought of that. So the starter kit is $135, no shipping, no GST, and you get to choose $165 worth of product plus 2 free stamp sets. And I was looking through the catalog the other day. Do you realize that the 2 free the most expensive stamp sets, one of them is $37, which happens to be the one that I used. So Poinsettia Petals is $37. And then the other one is, oh my gosh, I should have pulled it out. It is a word set with tons and tons of words. This one, A Wish for Everything. It's $53. So if you chose those 2 free stamp sets, or the 2 most expensive stamp sets, that's over $100 that you, well, with tax, with shipping and tax, that's over $100 worth of free stuff that you're getting right there. But of course, you don't have to choose those. You choose the most expensive sets that are on your wish list, right? Okay, so, and then one last reminder that the pieces for these 2 cards, as well as a quarter package of this fabulous DSP, is one of the choices for the gifts for any $60 order using the February host code for this month. Okay, I think that's it. I hope you guys all have a fabulous day. I will be back here again at 11 a.m. Mountain Time with my last celebration focused Facebook Live. All right, take care and we'll see you then.